What do you like best about your team right now?
There's a lot to like. I think it's the mentality that, like, yeah, we haven't arrived. We've done what we need to do to win games. Kind of like a moment by moment type mindset. So I think that's where we're at. I think the guys are going to watch it. There's a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff on tape that we should be excited about, and there's a lot of stuff I think the feeling should be like, wow, we are still in the infant stages of this thing, and we were able to find three wins here in the first 3 weeks. We need to step on the gas here. It's an opportunity for us to really make a jump as a team, and I think that's the way they'll be thinking.
Mike, I love to ask you this question every week, and that is what you felt leaving the field yesterday, the perception of what you experienced versus the reality of the tape. Anything that you felt leaving the building versus turning that tape on? And I know you didn't watch it yesterday. You put it on this morning and got right to it. Anything, any stark difference between the two?
I think I actually felt like I had a pretty good grasp of it yesterday. I wouldn't say there was any stark differences, Brock, honestly. I had a good feeling about how well we played on defense in terms of just playing hard, There's some things schematically that we need to get better at, process-wise, where I think, they're going to be watching the tape Miami and say, oh, we could have had, X, Y, and Z. And, the other teams are going to see that. So those are things we got to look good after. Special teams wise, probably had a better feel for how we played on teams. There's a couple plays that we let them get out in the return game that we need to be getting our P's. I thought our protection was way better than in previous weeks, which was good. And then offensively, similar, just felt like we a little stalemate early running the ball, but proud of the way we stuck to it. And then finished the game off there in that last drive, so that was good.
When you see plays, just sort of going by what you just said, that are maybe not perfect from either the schematic standpoint or the positions, the way everybody moved, but you love the effort, you love the tackling, you love the result. How do you handle those plays with the team or with the individual player later?
Oh, it's simple. You just head on. I think the guys know that we're in this thing together. So, this is what the call is asking you to do. This is what, how you guys approached it. Let's make sure we're on the same wavelength on how we're thinking about things. And, again, you're never going to call a perfect game. There's plays yesterday that I'm going to tell the guys, hey, this is not a great call for this offensive play. There's stress. So let's get to the down. Let's go to the next one. And that's always been the approach. Just kind of surgically, just kind of keep the emotion out of it.
Loudest environment you've ever coached in?
It's funny when we're playing. It's kind of like just white noise to me. When we're on defense, I know it's really loud because we can't. Our guys the calls kind of have a hard time coming in, and you can see the offensive operation is under duress. But it's just this white noise when we're going. So I'm going to say us. I'm going to say Lumen Field by far and away. But
and I'm sorry I haven't studied you closely enough. Do you have two? Do you have one ear open so you can hear the crowd, or do you have the two on that kind of does?
I just feel the two is a little extra. You just need one earpiece.
Okay, so you got just the one ear, because it felt. I said to Mike earlier, and I know there were camera folks talking about it, and they did on the national broadcast. Mike, it felt like it was rocking yesterday.
Well, you could tell. It affected their operation for sure. Probably, if you're asking those guys, they probably wanted better out of their operation offensively. Mm-hmm. Having a new quarterback and all that all that stuff kind of probably contributes to it. But the fans are a huge part of what we do when we're at home. You can't go crazy with calls and checks and communication. So you're banking on playing fast and having them under duress to operate. So yesterday that's a winning formula.
How physical was that game yesterday?
I expect them all to be physical. I don't expect that. We're talking about the standard of how we play on defense. I think the two home games, effort wise is close to where we're shooting. But I think, yeah, it's consistent. Like, I don't, this next game's gonna be really physical coming up, because that's what they're hanging their hat on in Detroit. So, challenge is to step it up a notch.
Are those two words connected? Physicality and effort?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also a function of like confidence, like trust. Because if you don't have confidence and trust in what you're being asked to do and the guy next to you, you kind of can't pull the trigger to the degree that you need to in order to play the right way.
When you say trust, is that, I'm sure it involves a lot of different things.
Like trust that
I know what I'm doing. I'm in the right spot. This guy, if I miss, is going to be right there.
Totally.
It all has to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely. And they got to trust that we're coaching stuff that works. That's a huge part of it. That's a starting point,
Is there anything I think every interview we've ever had with you, Sam, we bring up Sam Ramsden, coach in the sports science end of things. Is there any way you measure from an output? So at Oklahoma State this week, I was telling Salk, they got a linebacker that's just a Seahawk. This guy is crazy. And Gundy was telling us on the catapult system, he reaches an output of 800. And if you get to 500, it's like superhuman. Like this dude just does not stop. Is there a way that just almost science-based that you do look at that energy, the effort, the output that is put in?
I'm sure there's probably a good metric for it, but I kind of go off the eye test right now, with our guys.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of a boring, bland, old school answer, but I've yet to see a great, something to back it up.
What were you? Were you a
like
strong safety?
Were you like total loads and stuff? But
yeah.
Were
you a strong safety or linebacker? What were you back in the day?
No shot of playing DB, bro. No shot. My high school buddy was in town from growing up, and he played tailback. This game, he was playing tailback. I played fullback, and he was giving me crap because he was like, "Who would have thought you're the slowest human alive?" Look at you. Yeah. I get like 3.5. That was my calling card. I was like, look, I'll get you 3.5. You can multiply that by 4. It's a first down every time.
So let me guess. Number 44. You had a cowboy collar, big mouthpiece. What was your style?
No cowboy collar. I was 32. Fullback. Yeah, we ran I formation. Just ran ISO like 70 times. Ended up with stingers and. It's not pleasant. And then I played linebacker, and we were still running ISO, but I was on the other side of it for so killed some brain cells a good bit in high school. Yep. But like, if I got a trap, I was rolling 4 or 5 yards.
I'm going to guess Brock was asking you about strong safety because he wanted to ask you about Rayshon Jenkins, so I'll jump in and do that. Just because
we can go back to high school days.
I mean, we could.
No, I like it.
Like people have tried to find highlight tapes, and there's a challenge. You will not find a highlight tape out there.
Pickle number 32 looking so good, man.
There are no highlights. I'm on more other people's highlight tapes than on my highlight tape. So.
Could you tell me a little bit about Rayshon? Because he seemed to be a pretty big target for your team in the offseason. Mm-hmm. You bring him in. We have not talked that much about him on our show or just in the media in general. And yet every time I watch the game, I can't help but notice him. So what was it about him that you guys wanted and targeted?
How he plays the game. And then, you do your homework on these guys and just how he is in the building, the type of guy that he is. And I remember him coming out. I really liked him coming out of Miami. So, I had like an initial good impression. But then, you work with folks that have coached him and stuff, and they loved him. And then some of the players that have been with him and they loved him. So anytime you kind of get the constant, everybody loves this guy. That's a pretty strong statement. And then the tape kind of spoke for itself, excuse me. And it was a little bit of a projection on how they were playing in Jacksonville, and then what he was doing in LA to how he would do it here. But we can coach that stuff up. But this guy, plays incredibly fast, plays physical. Obviously, he's doing a lot of things for us right now. So, and it's not easy. It's not easy to be moving. Like we've talked about this in the past. Like, it's great to be versatile and play different spots. Well, it comes at a cost. And so you needed some massive investment on the front end, to pull it off. And he's doing that. So
I think another guy that everybody constantly loves and everybody says good things about is somebody on your staff. And I think you mentioned him last week. The media asked you about Leslie Frazier and all of his experience he had in Buffalo in that division, facing what you guys saw yesterday. Now that they're in the rearview mirror and you won't see them unless you're both in the Super Bowl, can you kind of speak to the role that Leslie did play in prepping for those Dolphins and that scheme and their personnel?
Well, I'd say the thing that's unique to like last week is just that he's seen him so frequently, but I'd say the role is, consistent throughout the week or throughout every game, like looking at it big picture wise, kind of smelling a rat in some of our game plan stuff and what he feels like is sometimes I like to do. There's a lot, I take out more throughout the week than I probably should. So he's kind of like, okay, like that's enough, Mike, or like, he gives me this look where, let's calm down there, buddy.
Like he's helping you simplify? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. But so there's that. He does. So that's every week. And then just like we just had a great conversation this morning about where we are as a football team, things that he's seeing, observations from the game. He's got like a unique kind of like a different. But like last week, just because they played him so much, he had some unique insights into like his experience going against those guys. T-Dot was great because T-Dot's been that a bit. He's been with last few years too. So, but yeah, I'd say it wasn't like you got to play this coverage or you got to, you got to put this guy here or whatever. Like, that's not. It doesn't really work like that,
Smell a rat, huh? Smell a rat.
Like this is not good,
This isn't going to work.
Yeah, like, okay, Mike, relax.
Can you help me understand your outside linebackers? We've seen with Boye and Derek Hall especially just tremendous growth. They continue to look better and better and better than they did, last year or in Boye's case, the last couple of years. I was asking Brock whether some of that was playing outside linebacker versus defensive end, and I'm not sure I'm even fully sure what the difference is all the
time. There's no difference.
Right? I mean, what is it about that position in your scheme? What are you looking for from those guys? Why have they had a lot of success in your scheme?
Yeah, I'm like, it's not my scheme. It's not. It's just
on your teams.
It's like an edge. It's an edge position. You play anywhere from the C gap out to the D gap. I just think like, I don't know. I mean, I only have the lens through defenses that I've coached on. So we ask a lot of those guys. It's not just pin your ears back and rush every snap. You have to play blocks. You have to be violent on the edge. There's edge mechanics involved. You have to recognize like blocking surfaces and stuff on early downs. If you can get a pass tell, you got to get into, a pass key and our pass rush plan. You got to learn how to play off of how they're rushing inside of you, which is really important because you have to balance the rush. So, and then you have all the drop responsibilities too, which is, just extra stuff. But we try to keep it in buckets for the guys so they can go execute it. But, those guys deserve a lot of credit. I thought Draymond Jones played a great game yesterday. He's kind of like this edge interior hybrid type guy, that we're still kind of ironing out like his solidified role, but I thought he played his best game yesterday. And so, fired up for him. And then just like you kind of go down the line, like Mike Morris did some good things. Tashawn Gibson did some good things on the edge too. So I think just right now, like the guys are playing confidently. In order to do it, you got to play violently on the edge. You got to play fast. You got to make fast decisions. You can't be like indecisive out there. You're further away from the ball, so like it's a little bit more timing involved in how you play. Like when you're in the A and B gap, really you're just playing like one guy or one or two guys. Only two guys you're reading possibly on any given down. So, those guys did a great job.
Is there more freedom? And here was Derek Hall yesterday, Coach, asked by the media coming off of a rookie season versus already the productivity we've seen through 3 games. Here was Derek asked about that and just kind of his growth and development. I got to follow up to it.
Yeah, I think the big part of it is just knowing what I had to attack going into the offseason and really honing in on that, being able to develop my pass rush and take it to that next level. Having a year under my belt, knowing what to expect, knowing how things are going to flow, having guys that trusted me like Boye, and then obviously, like you said, the scheme that Coach Mike has put in place for us on the defensive side of the ball, I think allows the entire defense, but specifically the outside back, to be really, really effective game in and game out.
It just feels from a scheme standpoint that there's more freedom for those guys on the edge. And that's not to compare to any past or anything else. Yeah. And this is your Michigan years with Aiden and last year with Clowney and Van Noy. It just feels, does that position, is there some freedom of expression in that violence that you talk about?
Yeah, so I mean, like, I appreciate Derek saying that. But he deserves, I mean, to me, the difference is, like, it's for guys going from year to one to year two, it's a huge opportunity for him because you don't have all the crap they have to do as a rookie coming out of college. I mean, think about these guys' years. It's crazy. Like, you finish playing, and if the guys go, like, deep, I don't know where Auburn finished, but, like, then you go train, you go through all the draft visit stuff, and you got to stay in shape for that. Then you start rookie camp, and then you go through the whole rookie development program, so 10, 12 weeks. Then you get, like, 2 weeks off. You know what I mean? Then so it's like, where are you, like,
you don't get an off season to rest.
You don't get an off season to, like, really train,
you
know, and just, like, take a breath and go train and kind of have an understanding where you're a rookie. You don't know, like, what your game is. Like, it's tough for those guys. It's tough. So I think the biggest thing is a year one to year two. Hey, I'm a determined guy. I'm going to work my tail off. I'm going to go train like crazy. I'm going to go learn the scheme. I'm going to come every day like he did and put the work in our off-season program and work with our coaches and AD and CP and Hines. And that's where the rubber meets the road, in my opinion. So then you talk about, like, freedom. Well, like, when I quote Jocko Willink, like, discipline is freedom. It's like understanding what your job is and where you can take liberties and where you can't. That's, like, you can't have guys just freelancing, but within your job, like, you can go do your job at a high level and play with anticipation. I think that's when they start using the term, like, freedom.
Oh, I like that.
Truck. Have you jumped up into that truck?
What's that?
Have you seen Derek's truck?
No.
Okay, it's large. It's very high off the ground.
Where does he park it?
I don't know. We just saw some videos, some pictures. Is it out here, Dave? Yeah, it's out here. You might have to go take a look at that thing. I think you might be able to walk
if you weren't,
straight under it.
if you weren't fast, I'm going to guess you probably didn't have a tremendous vert. So I don't think you're jumping up in that. It's like,
oh, there's no way.
It's like 12 feet off the ground. It's like a monster truck.
Yeah, I have a SUV right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and admit it. I have to, like, grab a hold of the thing, step onto the deal. Like, I can't. Like, I'm too short to, like, do the one stepper.
Yeah, this is
kind of embarrassing.
I think that's what we're looking at.
Really, that's his car?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything about big truck. People get offended about.
Right. But that might be a conversation. That'd be a conversation for you to have with them at some point.
That's a good team meeting, little slide right there.
What have you learned about DK in your time here?
Oh, man. A lot. I mean, all our guys. Just trying to understand what makes him tick, but he's such a great worker. It just is the big thing that's just, like, printed in my mind. Like, this guy gets after it, how he practices. And then just, like, the knack for, like, the game-changing play. I mean, it's really been, like, in the last 2 weeks. It's just, I don't know. Again, I didn't have that ability, so it's just like, man, that's really cool. Like, just that he's able to, like, it really is he is a threat at any point in the field, but he makes it come to life in how he practices, and like, the timing of that route is tough. Anytime you're on a double move, like, you got to be able to run those routes full speed, so the quarterback can understand the timing and where to put it, because it's like 9 balls. You're used to, like, throwing 9 balls because it's the timing's consistent. You know what I mean, Brock?
Yep.
We start throwing, like, hitch and goes, and that was a different route. But, like, hitch and goes, kind of timing gets out of whack sometimes. So, like, it's not just just run that route once. I mean, they've been doing things like that in camp, for a while.
Hey, last minute or so here with you, Coach. Can you give me a couple of the biggest principles to situational success? Miami yesterday, 1 of 15 on 3rd and 4th down combined. 0 for 2 in the red zone, 1 a sudden change, 1 inside the 3-yard line. Are there just a couple kind of football one-on-one principles that you have found over the years that really lead to that kind of situational ball success?
Man, that's a great question. It goes back to preparation, being able to anticipate. Like, you can't just invent stuff in those things. Like, it's just, people are like, "Oh, that's a great call." You're like, "Well, yeah, that's a call that we've been running for 6 months." It's like, you know, we're just happen to. It's through what we do through the lens of how we want to attack that offense. So you're like, it's these stacked reps of execution over and over and over again, so you can go kind of like, again, Navy SEAL thing, like fall to level your training in these critical situations, is really the thought. And then, you know, when you dress it up, you're just, from week to week, you're just trying to hide the main things that you're doing is really the thought. So it's not, you don't have to, you know, in those critical moments, you can do stuff that the guys have executed and you have confidence doing it. And then the guys hear it. And I don't know, if I'm a player and the coach is calling something that, you know, this is the 50th time that we've repped this thing, like, he knows that, like, what we have is good enough. You know, you start pulling out of the grab bag of things that you haven't worked on. That means, you know, hey, shoot, our normal fastball right here is probably going to get knocked out of the park, you know. And so I think there's power in that. And then I think the mindset the guys have to have. Like, take a deep breath and go play, you know. Go communicate, go do the things that we've been doing. And to this point, the guys have done a great job.
Just go run ISO. Shorten that neck.
Not behind me.
I wonder if we're going to see more of that cover 10 that we saw at the end of the half. Will we see more cover 10?
You might.
What's the coaching point for the one in that? Like, the one guy rushing on 5.
Yeah, he's got a tough duty.
Yeah, what's the coaching? What do you tell that guy in that spot?
Good luck, buddy.
Just like you right here, Salk, when you ask about injuries, good luck right here.
Yeah.
Leonard.
What's going on?
I said, how's Leonard Williams?
Yeah, where are we?
All right, Byron Murphy, they're fine. Monday Night Football in Detroit. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, of course. It's going to be a great environment. Never played in Detroit. I know we've been there last year, a couple times. So I know the guys are excited, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun environment, man. It's gonna be it's gonna be great.
Looking forward to it. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. I'm sure you'll get to fly in late. We'll see you early Tuesday morning. It's a joy. Dave will tell you. It's a really great situation. Yeah.
I really look at the contract. This is a Monday morning show.
It's more of a day after the game.
We'll talk to you Monday morning from Detroit if you want.
Yeah, we do happen to do both, but it's a day after the game.
I'll trade you Monday morning in Detroit for Tuesday morning back here.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it. Congratulations. 3-0. It's been a great start. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right, there you go.